Hello there, friend. Are you resting somewhere quiet, safe, and warm? If you are, maybe leave a gentle good night down in the comments, just to let the world know you're here and you're ready to drift away. Now, turn off the lights, close your eyes, take a slow, deep breath, and let your thoughts grow soft and still. Tonight, we're traveling far, back beyond the reach of memory or maps. You wake up to the sound of buzzing, not the lazy hum of a phone alarm. Phones don't exist, remember, but a mosquito trying to repopulate its species inside your left ear. You swat, miss, and blink against the grey morning. The fire's nothing but a smear of ash. The ground is hard, your calf is numb, and you're hungry. Welcome to 10,000 BCE. The Ice Age is technically over, though someone forgot to tell the wind. It nips at your skin with the sass of a cold X, and your blanket is just an antelope hide that still smells like antelope. There's no house, no mattress, and definitely no coffee. You stretch, roll up from your moss bed, and immediately regret both choices. Everything aches, including muscles you're not even sure are yours. The sun's barely up, but the air already smells like movement. Damp earth, tree resin, someone's armpit. You're part of a small band of humans who've been following herds, fruits, and better weather for weeks. There are no permanent homes, no written language, and no idea that Amazon will one day mean something besides a big angry woman with a spear. Life is raw, improvised, and surprisingly rhythmic. You squint at the horizon. No cities, no walls, just trees, rivers, and enough grass to give hay fever to a mammoth, which, by the way, still roam around, looking majestic and dumb. You saw one last week. The hunt went well until it didn't. One guy dislocated his shoulder. Another lost a tooth. But at least you all ate. Speaking of eating, breakfast isn't waiting for you, you're waiting for it to exist. And by that, we mean you're going to spend the next 6 hours hunting it. Again, you rub your eyes and look around the camp. 15 others, give or take. The old man with 2 teeth who mumbles at clouds. The 3 women already foraging near the ferns. The kid who thinks shouting makes him a warrior. You're somewhere between useful and expendable depending on the day. Your stomach growls like it's considering cannibalism. You reach for your spear, your best friend, worst enemy, and toothbrush all in one. The tip is flint, chipped until sharp. The shaft is ash wood, worn smooth from years of sweaty palms and close calls. The ground is soft, scattered with last night's footprints. Someone peed near the sleeping area again. Classic Derek. You make a mental note to never share a sleeping skin with him. Ever. You start moving toward the edge of camp, where the trees start whispering secrets. The early morning fog clings low, like the earth itself isn't quite ready to commit to being seen. Your bare feet slap against damp soil, and something squishes unpleasantly under your heel. Fungus, maybe, or a regret. Nearby, you hear the low huff of breath. The hunters are prepping, or arguing, probably both. Prepuging, a classic pastime. Spears get passed around. Someone insists his atlatl is better. Someone else says they need a lucky rabbit foot. No one actually has one, but the superstition helps. A distant bird call cuts through the haze. It's not meant for you, but you take it personally. So, what's the plan? Head upriver, look for tracks. Avoid the predator poop. Try not to trip and embarrass yourself in front of Ada, the girl with the symmetrical face and suspiciously perfect teeth. She's already got her throwing stones tucked into her hip satchel and that "don't talk to me until I've gathered roots" energy. You reach the waterline. It smells clean in a wild way, like fish and rocks and things that don't ask permission. You crouch and scoop water into your hands. It's cold enough to slap your brain awake. Around you the forest looms not dark, not scary, just old. So old that your presence here feels more like a suggestion than a fact. And this is the part of the story where you realize this is normal. You, naked-ish and half-starved in the wilderness, are the baseline human experience. Cities are thousands of years away. No pyramids, no plumbing, no philosophy except don't die today. But despite all that, you're not miserable. There's a certain clarity in simplicity, a focus. No emails, no taxes. Just keep the fire going, don't fall in a pit, and maybe, just maybe, you'll see another sunrise. You hike deeper into the woods with the others. The world smells like leaf mold and possibility. Your ears scan for cracking twigs. Your nose twitches at unfamiliar scents. This is your job now. Be hyper-aware or be dinner. And just when things start to feel peaceful, the kid Larrick lets out a yell and throws a rock at a squirrel. He misses. The squirrel flips him off in squirrel language and vanishes. The rest of you groan in unison. Breakfast just sprinted into the treetops. You swear quietly and keep walking. Maybe today will be deer. Maybe it'll be roots and shame. Either way, the sun is rising, your feet are muddy, and your spear is ready. You keep going, because that's what boring sapiens do best. Survive. You've been walking for hours, and your ankles are seriously questioning your life choices. The forest canopy filters the sunlight into warm, dappled patches, like nature's version of mood lighting. If it weren't for the gnats trying to colonize your eyeballs, you might almost call it pretty. Today, you're with the foraging group, not the hunters. Why? Because yesterday you tripped on a root while trying to impress Arda with a dramatic spear pose and landed face first in a pile of fermented goat poop. The elders decided you could use a gentler task today. You nod solemnly, pretending it's an honor. The foraging group is mostly women and a couple of older kids. They're already deep into gathering mode, talking quietly, pointing at leaves, grunting affirmations. There's a whole unspoken language here. A glance can mean, don't eat that unless you want to hallucinate your grandmother. A raised eyebrow might say, those berries will cleanse your intestines with the force of a waterfall. You try to pay attention. Suri, the unofficial leader of the group, moves with the quiet confidence of someone who can distinguish 50 types of mushroom just by sniffing them. She plucks a strange yellow cap from beneath a rotting log, sniffs it, nods, and slips it into her satchel. You lean over, eyes wide. Is it good? She glances at you. Good for gods. Bad for staying upright. Okay then. You pretend you knew that. The forest gives you everything: roots that crunch, leaves that numb your tongue, tubers that look like tiny tree goblins. You pull a bulb from the earth and sniff it. It smells like feet. You ask Suri if it's edible. She snorts. Only once. Your stomach grumbles anyway. Then, under a mossy rock, you spot them. Mushrooms. Brown tops, soft undersides, clustered like they're having a fungal family reunion. You point. These? Suri crouches beside you, studies them for a moment, then shrugs. Could be food. Could be a 2-day nap. She picks one and breaks off a piece, placing it gently on her tongue. She waits. The silence stretches. The forest hushes. You hold your breath. After a long pause, she spits. Sleepy. Save for the old man. Apparently, the two-toothed elder likes to microdose himself into oblivion every now and then. Says it helps him talk to time. He's the tribe's shaman, or maybe just the world's first freeloading philosopher. You move on, rustling through underbrush, feeling oddly accomplished every time you spot a patch of edible greens. You even find a bush with red berries. You proudly pluck a handful until the girl behind you hisses and smacks them out of your hands. Those give you the runs, like legendary. You nod solemnly, swallowing your pride and a bug that wandered into your mouth during the commotion. Then, the mood shifts. You notice it first in the trees. The birds stop chirping. The leaves stop rustling. It's like the forest suddenly forgot how to breathe. Suri raises a hand, her body going still. You freeze, 1 foot halfway into a patch of something questionable. From deeper in the woods, there's a rustle, a crunch, something moving. You crouch low. Everyone's eyes dart toward the sound. A second crunch. Then silence. Just wind, or a predator, or a big squirrel. Honestly, it's 10,000 BCE. Everything's a threat. Even squirrels. Eventually, the moment passes. Suri signals, and the group resumes its work. You pretend you weren't sweating through your animal hide waistband. By mid-afternoon, you've gathered an impressive basket of leaves, seeds, bark, and various things that look like they belong in a witch's pantry. Your hands are stained green, and your stomach still hasn't forgiven you for skipping breakfast. To celebrate, Suri decides it's time for tasting. You sit in a circle and pass around tiny pieces of everything. Some taste earthy, some bitter. One makes your tongue tingle like it's judging you. Then comes the mushroom. The good kind, not the death kind, not the sleepy time grandpa kind. The other kind. You only take a little. Just a pinch. A smear on your tongue, like dirt made of stars. At first, nothing happens. Then the trees start breathing. It's not scary, just weird. The bark pulses, the sky grows extra shades of blue. You blink, and the moss glows like it's whispering compliments. You feel like the forest likes you. Like maybe, finally, the earth is letting you in on the joke. You look at Suri. She's smiling with her eyes closed, humming some ancient tune that might be a lullaby or a warning. The rest of the group is laughing softly at something only they can see. You sit back, eyes wide, mouth slightly open, and let the strangeness roll over you like fog. Time loses its grip. The world softens. Eventually, the fog lifts. The trees go back to normal. Your fingers are just fingers again. Suri's still humming, but now it sounds more like snoring. You gather your bundle of food and follow the others back to camp. The ground's springy under your feet. You've walked this path before, but now it feels different, like the forest recognizes you. Like you passed a test. Back at camp, the hunters have returned empty-handed. Someone grumbles about bad luck and sabotage by noisy kids. Larrick looks guilty. You offer your bounty, and people perk up. You even share a few of the magical mushrooms with the elder, who giggles, then stares at a rock for 30 minutes. Dinner is weird, but satisfying. Roots, leaves, bark tea, and laughter. You chew slowly, watching the firelight dance in everyone's eyes, and realize this is what survival tastes like. Earthy, bittersweet, and just a little trippy. The fire crackles like it's got something to say. It probably does, but you can't speak. Burning twig. You just sit close enough to feel the warmth on your shins and try not to breathe in the smoke that's clearly targeting your face. The others gather slowly, like soup ingredients falling into a pot. One grumbly hunter, 2 sassy foragers, 3 kids who should be asleep but absolutely are not. This is what passes for nightlife in 10,000 BCE. No bouncers, no drinks, but you still get drama, and someone inevitably falls asleep in the dirt. The tribe isn't big. 18, maybe 20 people on a good week. No one's counting exactly, but you all know who's missing when someone doesn't show up for roasted root duty. And even in a group this small, roles emerge like mushrooms after rain. There's Nalka, the one with the loudest laugh and the quietest feet. If she sneaks up behind you in the forest, she will scare the soul out of your body and then laugh about it for days. There's Then, who's terrible at hunting but excellent at pretending he's not. His dramatic stories make the kids gasp and the adults groan. There's Rika, who seems to appear wherever help is needed, like an unpaid babysitter/witch. And then there's you. You're not sure what your role is yet. Not the strongest, not the fastest. Somewhere between useful distraction and second best at carrying things. The tribe doesn't have a name. Not officially. No banners, no slogans. But tonight someone calls it us. You're all us. Everyone else, every strange group you pass, every hungry shadow you don't trust is them. The fire gets brighter as night thickens. Sparks leap into the dark like drunk fireflies. People shift, lean closer, scratch at bug bites. This is when stories happen. Then clears his throat with theatrical flair. So there I was, he says, eyes wide, facing the biggest boar you've ever seen. Its tusks were longer than my arms. You ran from a piglet, someone mutters. Laughter ripples like wind through tall grass, then holds up a hand. A piglet! Possessed by a demon. You roll your eyes so hard your ancestors feel it. But the kids lean in. They don't know the truth, and frankly they don't care. A good story always beats a real one. Nalka joins in with a tale about the time she saw 2 foxes fighting over a fish. I swear one of them was swearing at the other, she says deadpan. In perfect human words, that gets a proper laugh. Then, without fanfare, the old man speaks. 2 teeth, wild eyes, and a voice like wind dragging itself across stone. No one interrupts him. Not even Then. He doesn't tell jokes. He tells shapes, ideas. Like the one where the moon was once a fish that escaped the ocean and swam into the sky, or the one where humans came from a woman who baked herself in the sun and cracked into pieces that became us. You don't fully understand them. No one does. But you feel them somewhere between your ribs and your sense of logic. You nod like it makes sense, because somehow it does. This is how history works right now. No books, no tablets, just heat, voices, and memory softened by time. Everyone's a little bit historian, a little bit liar, and a whole lot of don't let the kids know this is trauma processing. Across the fire, Ada catches your eye. Just for a second. Then she looks away. Maybe she's just bored. Maybe she's tired. Or maybe just maybe she thinks you're kind of funny when you fall into goat poop. Whatever it is, it sends a little flutter through your chest, like a moth hitting the inside of a drum. And just like that, someone farts loudly. Everyone laughs. Even the old man. You look up at the stars. There are so many. Too many. They don't twinkle, they watch. Back then, they weren't just decorations in the sky. They were maps, clocks, proof that something out there was bigger than your small fire and your smaller bowl of root stew. One of the kids asks, "What's up there?" Nalka says, "More stars." Then says, "Spirits." The old man says nothing. You say, "Maybe a piglet with tusks longer than Then's stories." Laughter again. That's something you're learning. If you can make people laugh, they'll feed you, forgive you, maybe even follow you. In a world without cities, jokes are the currency of survival, along with spears and knowing how not to eat the berries that liquefy your intestines. The fire dies down to glowing coals. The group starts peeling away, one by one, like petals off a sleepy flower. Someone snores. Someone mutters in a dream. Someone definitely sleepwalks and pees behind the wrong bush. You linger by the embers, toes digging into warm dirt, heart quiet but full. No buildings, no borders, just a handful of people, a pile of stories, and the knowledge that tribe isn't a word yet, but it's already everything. You crawl into your furs. The stars blink slowly above you. Someone coughs. Someone farts again. You smile. This is the human experience. Right here, right now, with your people, with us. You wake up with your face in the dirt and a beetle using your cheek as a runway. You flick it off with as much dignity as one can muster while half buried in moss. Morning has arrived again, loud, damp, and unapologetic. The fire's out, the furs are soggy, and someone's breath smells like fermented roots and regret. Time to move. See, your tribe doesn't do permanent. No walls, no houses, not even a designated laundry area. You go where the food goes, where the weather permits, where yesterday's skeletons are far enough behind. The ground isn't something you own, it's something you borrow. And this morning, the loan's expired. Everyone's packing up, which really just means wrapping dried meat in hide pouches and poking the kid who won't wake up until someone mentions snake pits. The old man is chewing on a root and glaring at the sun like it owes him money. The 2 foraging kids are arguing about who stole whose favourite digging stick. Classic nomad drama. You join the group gathering near the eastern path. It's not really a path, just a slightly flatter line through the tall grass where fewer people have tripped over roots. Still, it's something. Movement has its rhythm. Slow steps, alert eyes, loose spears. Your legs fall into sync with the others. No one talks much. You save your breath for walking and for internally cursing that rock you just stubbed your toe on. The dirt between your toes is damp and cold. It squishes in a way that makes you question everything about barefooted living. But you don't complain. Everyone's barefoot. It's practically a social norm. If you showed up in shoes, they'd assume you were either a god or had weird things to hide. Feet, by the way, tell stories. Look at Suri's wide, calloused, and covered in tiny scars from years of foraging. Look at Then's narrow and awkward, always tripping over vines. Then there's Arda's okay, let's not stare, but just respect the athletic arch. You glance down at your own and wonder if they'll ever look like they belong to someone who's done more than trip dramatically in pursuit of small rodents. As you walk, you leave more than just prints. You leave smells, fibres, scratches. The land reads you like a diary. And trust me, nature gossips. That bent blade of grass, that snapped twig, that suspiciously round poop you stepped in, all clues, all entries in the ongoing soap opera of survival. Suri suddenly holds up a hand. Everyone freezes. You hear it too, a rustle, low and fast. Something's watching. Maybe just a bird. Maybe something furrier and fangier. The air gets heavy, like it's holding its breath. Your grip tightens on your spear. Then a rabbit darts out from the underbrush. Half the group jumps. One person curses. Then dramatically claims he was about to attack, but no one believes him. The tension breaks like a twig, and the march continues. By midday, the sun is rude and everywhere. It bakes your shoulders, sticks your hair to your forehead, and turns every shadow into a precious oasis. Someone starts humming an old walking song. It's wordless, low, and repetitive. Basically the prehistoric version of lo-fi beats to migrate to. You pass landmarks that don't look like landmarks until you've seen them 4 times. A bent pine, a patch of pale stones, a tree shaped like a man bending over. You call that one Then tree. He pretends not to be offended. Eventually the terrain changes. The air smells different, more leaf mold, less swamp breath. Suri veers left, and you follow without question. That's how it works. Someone always knows the way. Until they don't. Then someone else pretends they do. You reach a clearing, wide and sun-dappled. A good place to pause. Everyone drops what little they carry. Kids collapse dramatically. Adults stretch. Someone immediately steps on a thorn and spends 5 minutes trying not to cry in public. Suri crouches to inspect a game trail. Tracks, scat, the whole National Geographic special. She makes a noise deep in her throat that probably means elk nearby, maybe. Then misinterprets it and starts throwing rocks at a bush. The bush retaliates by stabbing him with hidden branches. You sit in the grass, watching insects do their thing. Ants on a mission. Beetles engaged in tiny sumo battles. A spider weaving something that looks suspiciously like a tiny hammock. You wonder what it's like to live with purpose that small and that consistent. Then you remember. You do live like that. Your purpose is to wake, walk, survive, maybe find meaning in a particularly symmetrical leaf. It's not glamorous, but it's honest, grounded. There's a rhythm to it, like chewing bark gum or watching someone else get bitten by a snake and learning not to touch that plant. After a short rest, the tribe begins moving again. The afternoon sun turns gold around the edges. You're heading toward the highlands, following a dry stream bed. Suri thinks there may be water up ahead, or at least fewer mosquitoes, which, at this point, feels like a religious promise. You keep walking. Your feet ache, but they keep going. Each step is another entry in the Book of Earth. You don't realize it now, but these paths will become roads. These trails will become trade routes. And eventually, someone will complain about traffic, where your footprints once lay. But for now, it's just you, your people, and the sound of dirt kissing your heels. The day ends not with a bang, but with a sigh. The tribe settles near a ridge, where the wind hums lullabies through the grass. The fire is coaxed back to life. Food is shared. Feet are rubbed. Jokes are told, mostly at Then's expense. And as darkness folds over the world again, you look down at your toes, filthy, swollen, proud. They've carried you through another day of being boring, barefoot, and beautifully human. If you've never tried to kill a mammoth, good, keep it that way. Because honestly, it's like trying to ambush a mountain with legs. A shaggy, stompy, surprisingly fast mountain that wants you to be the one who ends up skewered on the end of something. This morning, the mood in the tribe is optimistic, which is suspicious. Everyone's been talking about the signs. The fresh droppings near the stream, the flattened grass trails, the faint smell of wet hair and prehistoric doom. Suri swears she heard one trumpeting at dawn, then claims he saw it in a dream, though he also once dreamed a squirrel stole his soul, so grain of salt. Either way, today is Mammoth Day. Preparation starts early. The hunters get their gear ready, sharp flint tips, tightly bound spears, atlatls for extra throwing power, and one guy even smeared something on his face for camouflage, though he mostly just looks like a startled raccoon. You're part of the group today. No backing out. You tried to fake a twisted ankle, but Rika popped it back into place before you even finished limping. The plan is simple, by which we mean stupid. Step 1. Find the mammoth. Step 2. Make it angry. Step 3. Trick it into running toward a pit that hopefully exists. Step 4. Stab it repeatedly while praying to every spirit, ancestor, and lucky rock you've ever known. You march quietly through the tall grass. The group is tense, but focused. No one talks. Then tries humming, but is shut down with a look so sharp it could skin a deer. Then you smell it. Like a wet blanket rolled in mud, sadness and sweat. The wind carries it just right. Everyone slows. You crouch beside a tree and peek through the bushes. There it is. A young male mammoth. Not quite fully grown, but still twice the size of your most optimistic confidence. He's grazing lazily, swishing his tail, and occasionally spraying dirt over his back like it's a day at the spa. His tusks are long, curved, and very much capable of turning your ribcage into abstract art. The group fans out. The idea is to spook him just enough to get him running toward the low ridge, where a natural dip in the land might serve as a killing ground. It's not a perfect plan, but hey, perfection isn't on the menu when you're working with sticks and wishful thinking. Then steps on a branch. The mammoth freezes. Everyone holds their breath. You pray to the nearest tree. Then, from the left, Rika throws a stone. It hits the mammoth on the side, not hard, but just enough. It bellows, loud, like the earth itself burping in pain. Then it charges, straight toward you. Your legs forget how to leg. You stumble, trip, roll, and scramble up just in time to see the massive blur thunder past you. You are now part of the plan, possibly in the plan. No time to ask which. Everyone runs, shouting, waving, throwing. The mammoth barrels ahead, confused and pissed, just the way you hoped. Arrows zing past. One lodges into its flank. It bellows again, this time with the distinct tone of, "I will find you and flatten your bones into dust." The pit, if you can call it that, is just up ahead. A muddy hollow between two ridges, hidden by brush. The mammoth crashes forward and stumbles, one leg slipping, body lurching. It doesn't fall. It regains balance. Charges again. Suri hurls her spear with terrifying calm. It hits, right in the shoulder. Blood blooms like a dark flower. Still not enough. Then comes the moment. Your moment. You draw your own spear, aim, breathe, and trip on a root. Again. Your spear flies from your hands, spinning awkwardly through the air, and somehow miraculously pierces the mammoth's thigh. Not deep, not deadly, but it throws the beast off balance just enough that it lurches again, stumbles, and falls. The ground shakes. A gust of dust kicks up. The mammoth is down. The group swarms. Spears plunge. The air fills with grunts, roars, and the sound of history being written in panic and adrenaline. You dive in, stabbing, dodging, nearly stepping on Then's foot, and finally, after what feels like hours but is maybe just 3 sweaty, blood-slick minutes, it stops moving. Everyone collapses. No one speaks. Breaths come in ragged gasps. The mammoth lies still, eyes open but glassy. A giant, tragic monument to your shared desperation. Then Then, lying flat on his back, gasps, "I told you it was real. I saw it in a dream." You're too tired to kick him. Later, the butchering begins. It's not glamorous. It's sticky, smelly, and full of accidental splatters. But it's worth it. Every part of the mammoth will be used. Meat dried for travel, hide for cloaks, bones for tools, tendons for binding. People cheerfully argue over who gets the mammoth butt, which is apparently the prime cut. Someone starts singing. Someone else is already smoking strips of meat over a small fire. The smell is divine, if you like your perfume with notes of ash and iron. You sit, covered in mud, sweat, and probably brain matter, gnawing on a hunk of roasted mammoth, and feeling more alive than you've ever felt. This is what victory tastes like. Chewy, smoky, and very possibly undercooked. But it's yours. You would think, after taking down a mammoth, everyone would be content to bask in triumph, roast some meat, and nap for a week. But no, this is pre-civilization. There are no victory parades. There's barely time to digest before something else starts brewing in the collective gut of the tribe unease. It begins the way all trouble begins, with someone watching. You notice it first when you're out by the stream, rinsing mammoth guts from your arms and wondering if mammoth blood counts as moisturizer. There's a flicker at the tree line. Quick, silent, gone. You blink. Nothing. Just rustling branches, probably a deer, or a hallucination from eating slightly questionable mushrooms again. But you're not the only one who feels it. Suri's been twitchy all morning, then's been uncharacteristically quiet, which means either he's dead or worried. And Rika mutters something about uninvited eyes. She always talks like that when she's unsettled. Vague, creepy, helpful as a broken spear. By nightfall, everyone's pretending nothing's wrong while absolutely behaving like something is very, very wrong. The fire is built bigger. The children are kept closer. Spears are stacked within arm's reach. Even the old man stops giggling at tree shadows. Then, the sound. Snap. From the dark. Not a branch falling. Not an animal passing. A footstep. You freeze, skin prickling. The fire suddenly feels like a spotlight, your body exposed to whatever's lurking just beyond the flickering orange edge. Another sound this time, a rustle. Low voices, or just wind trying to imitate words. You grab your spear, and that's when they step out. Another group. Humans. Like you, but not. Same posture, same clothing, if you can call strategically draped animal hide clothing. Same soot-smudged cheeks, but their eyes sharp, unreadable. One carries a woven bag. Another holds a spear with a different stone tip, sleek, almost delicate. They stop at the fire's edge, neither threatening nor friendly, just there. Your tribe stiffens. Every breath is held hostage. Then Zuri steps forward. She doesn't raise her voice, doesn't wave her arms, just speaks a low, melodic greeting you don't recognize. The strangers murmur back. The sounds are similar, but not quite the same, like dialects of a language no one wrote down. A long pause. Then the strangers sit. Not next to you. Not even close. Just near enough to say, "We see you. We'll stay a while. Don't mess this up." You glance at Then. His eyes are wide. His hand inches toward his spear, then back again. You're all playing it cool, but the tension's thick enough to butter. The two groups exchange gifts. Standard protocol when humans bump into each other and don't immediately throw rocks. A carved bone needle. A pouch of dried berries. Someone offers a chunk of mammoth meat. One of the strangers examines it suspiciously before taking a bite. The talking begins slowly, mostly through gestures. Someone mimes walking. Someone else points to the stars. Someone, probably Then, accidentally insults someone's mother by pointing with the wrong finger. But eventually, something passes between the groups. Not friendship, exactly, but recognition. You are both us, and also not us. That's the tension. That's the magic. Then, gossip begins. Because of course it does. Rika leans towards Suri, whispering about one of the stranger women. She's definitely looking at Ada's fur wrap. Jealous. Then mutters to you. Their spear guy keeps flexing. What's he compensating for? You, being mature and diplomatic, nod gravely. Clearly inferior atlatl skills. The kids, naturally, are fascinated. They stare, wide-eyed, trying to figure out which new kid is the most fun or has the coolest rock. Within minutes, one of them is showing off how high he can throw dirt in the air. It lands in his own face. Everyone claps politely. The evening stretches on, fire crackling like a nervous host. The strangers remain, not smiling, not frowning, just studying. You can't help but wonder what they think of you. Do you look weak, strong, confused, and covered in dried mammoth fat? Probably all three. Do they see your tribe as potential allies? Rivals? Dinner? Eventually, one of them stands. A woman with braided hair and a necklace made of bird bones. She raises her arms, speaks something melodic and harsh, and the others follow her lead. They back away into the darkness without a glance behind them. Gone, the forest swallows them like they were never there. Silence. Then, everyone starts talking at once. What did she say? Did they steal something? Her braids were so intricate. Did anyone see the eyes on that tall guy? Like he could smell lies? Oh. Suri holds up a hand. Quiet returns. They'll be back, she says. No explanation, just fact. The kind of sentence that leaves your stomach mildly unsettled. Later, as you lie on your back trying to sleep, your mind buzzes. You knew, abstractly, that other people were out there. You'd seen distant fire smoke, heard rumors, but seeing them smelling their breath, watching them blink at you, it changes something. The world is suddenly bigger. And so is the list of things that can go wrong. You close your eyes, pull your fur tighter, and pretend the shadow near the tree isn't a face. It probably isn't. Probably. The morning arrives crooked. You wake up before the light, not because you want to, but because your brain insists that something is off. The air feels strange, like the forest is listening, and not in a cozy bedtime story way. More like, we saw what you did last night, and we're judging you, kind of way. The fire is cold. The ground is damp. No birdsong. You sit up, rubbing sleep from your eyes with hands still sticky from mammoth grease. Across the camp, Suri is already awake, staring into the trees. She doesn't blink for a long time. Her shoulders are too still. Then the scream. You leap up, half naked, holding a stick that absolutely isn't your spear but will do if the enemy is afraid of firm disapproval. The scream came from the south edge of camp. You run. You see them first two figures on the ground, one clutching his stomach, blood pouring through his fingers like he's trying to hold water. The other isn't moving at all. You skid to a stop. Then you see them, the strangers. But this time, no smiles, no bird-bone necklaces, no polite exchanges of dried berries. Just snarls, raised spears, red-painted faces, and fury you don't understand. They charge. Your body takes over. You don't think. You don't philosophize about early human conflict resolution. You grab the real spear, plant your feet, and scream. Everyone else is doing the same. It's less a battle cry and more a collective, "Oh no, please no, but also fine, let's do this." Clashing, stone against bone, screams layered over more screams. You duck an attack, jab forward, feel the sickening resistance of your spear hitting something. You don't know who it was. You don't stop to check. Someone falls next to you, gasping. Another rushes past, chasing one of the strangers who just stabbed a kid Larrick. He's down, small, bleeding, too still. You want to throw up. But there's no time. Your tribe isn't trained for this. You don't practice war. You practice survival. You practice skinning and cooking and not eating the mushrooms that make your soul leave your body. But this is new. This is old. This is terrifyingly human. You see Rika go down. She's bleeding from her leg, crawling toward a tree, trying to whisper something through clenched teeth. Someone pulls her to safety. The air is thick with smoke and sweat and something metallic. You recognize it too late. Blood. It all happens in flashes. A stranger charging Suri. Suri sidestepping and slamming a rock into his head. Then screaming like he's possessed, swinging wildly. You, blocking a strike meant for ardor. She turns. Eyes meet. Then she stabs the attacker in the neck. The fight ends the way all chaos does. Abruptly. The strangers retreat. Fast, silent. Like they didn't just tear your lives in half. Some of them leave wounded. Some don't leave at all. You're left standing, panting, knees shaking, in the middle of a circle of wreckage. Larik is dead. There's no poetry in it. No dramatic last words. Just a stillness that cuts deeper than any spear. Rika's leg is mangled. The old man is missing, then has a gash across his arm that he keeps insisting isn't that bad, while clearly holding in tears. You all gather around the fire, what's left of it. No one speaks. Eventually, Suri stands. We have to bury them. That breaks the silence. You dig with whatever you have. Hands, bones, flat stones. The dirt resists, as if trying to keep your grief on the surface. But eventually, you lower Larik's body into the earth. He's wrapped in mammoth hide, the same one he used as a cape 2 nights ago to impress the girls, the same one he tripped over dramatically. You almost smile. Almost. Someone hums. Not a song, just vibration. Grief in a minor key. You cover him with dirt. Slow, respectful, final, and just like that, the earth forgets him. But you don't. The rest of the day is a haze. Cleaning wounds, counting heads, realizing the old man is gone, probably taken, probably already bones. No one says it out loud, but something inside your tribe changes. You can feel it in the way people look at the trees, like they might grow enemies. You feel it in how your stomach knots every time a branch cracks. You're still nomads, still wanderers. But now you carry something heavier than furs and food, paranoia. That night, the fire is ringed with extra stones. Spears are laid out like teeth. People sleep in tighter clusters. No one tells stories. You lie awake, staring at the stars. They blink back at you, uncaring, unchanging. You wonder what Larik would have become. A hunter? A storyteller? Another annoying teenager with dirt jokes? You wonder if your tribe is the first to bury someone like this. Or just one of many, scattered across the world, laying their dead into the dirt and whispering apologies to gods that may or may not be listening. And you wonder, for the first time, what kind of species forgets how to share. You fall asleep to the sound of fire hissing and the memory of blood on stone. You leave at dawn, not because you're ready, but because staying feels like a trap. Like the trees remember the blood, like the ground might rise up and whisper names you're not ready to hear again. So, you go. Quiet. Swift. Heavy-footed. No jokes this morning. No whistling from Then. No complaints from the kid who usually grumbles about everything. Just the sound of feet in damp leaves and the occasional cough that reminds you Rika's still alive, but barely. She's being carried on a litter made of sticks and mammoth hide, pale as bone, eyes flickering like candlelight in a breeze. Suri leads. Of course she does. And for once, even Then doesn't question it. She moves with the precision of someone who's seen everything already in a dream. Or maybe she just refuses to be surprised anymore. You walk deeper into the forest. The terrain shifts. Softer moss, taller trees. Everything feels denser, older. Not older, like aged wine. Older like buried bones and forgotten gods. The kind of place where stories don't just happen, they linger. And here's where it gets weird. The birds don't sing, the insects hush. Even the wind seems to hold its breath. It's like entering a sacred room without knowing the password. Everyone feels it. You see the shoulders tighten. You see eyes flick sideways. You feel it in your spine. Suri veers off the trail. This way, she says. No one argues. The canopy thickens. Light dribbles through like syrup, slow and golden. The ground is littered with fallen leaves that never rot, just stack, layer after layer, like the forest is building a memory quilt. Then you reach it, a clearing, but not just a random open patch of dirt. This one feels arranged. The trees circle evenly, their roots forming a natural border. At the center, a massive stone juts from the earth like a tooth. It's covered in moss, yes, but also carvings. Deep lines, spirals, crude handprints. It's not art, it's message. You're not the first ones here. Suri approaches the stone and places her palm against it. She doesn't say anything, just closes her eyes and breathes like the rock is a reluctant god. She's trying not to wake too loudly. And then she starts talking. Not to you, to the forest. Her voice is low, rhythmic. Not a language you recognize, something older, wetter, made of mud and breath and bone. You glance at Then. His mouth is open slightly, eyes wide. Even he knows better than to interrupt. The rest of the tribe stands still, even the kids, especially the kids. After a moment, Suri turns and points to a cluster of trees on the far side of the clearing. We stay there. One night. One night. You all nod like that was always the plan. The camp is made quickly. No fires, just furs, quiet movement, and glances over shoulders. You're sent to collect water. Great. Alone. You head down a shallow slope toward a spring Suri mentioned, hidden beneath a tangle of vines. Every step squishes. Every sound feels too loud. You try humming to yourself something tuneless, just to prove you still exist. Then, from behind, a sound. Not a threat. A whisper. A bird. Number. No wings. No rustle. Just presence. You turn. Nothing. But you feel it. Watching. Measuring. You mutter a prayer to whatever forest spirit handles not being cursed. It's probably late, overworked, and underappreciated. You find the spring. It's still. Too still. The surface reflects your face back at you like it's trying to decide whether or not to keep it. You fill the pouch quickly and get the hell out. When you return, Suri is sitting by the big stone again. Ada is beside her. They're not speaking, just listening. You sit too, not because you understand, but because your legs are tired and you feel safer next to people who might be slightly possessed. As the sun sets, a fog rolls in, low and cool and deliberate. It creeps through the trees like it owns the place. The tribe gathers in silence. No food tonight, no fire, just the dark. And stories, but not the usual kind. Suri speaks first. "This is where they buried her," she says. Everyone waits. "Who?" She looks at the stone. "The first one, the mother of mothers." You don't ask if that's literal or symbolic. Both answers are probably terrifying. Then swallows hard. "What happened to her?" Suri shrugs. "She stopped moving, but her bones kept dreaming." "Right. Normal bedtime conversation." "Then," the forest answers. Not with a roar. Not even with words. Just a long, low groan. Like bark bending. Like something ancient yawning. Everyone freezes. The fog thickens. And somewhere in the dark, a shape moves. You don't scream. Mostly because your throat forgot how. The shape pauses. Then fades. Like it was just passing through. Like it had better things to haunt. No one sleeps, except the old woman Rika, who suddenly stops groaning in pain. She rests peacefully for the first time in days, smiling. You don't know what happened, but in the morning when the fog lifts and the birds finally return, you feel better, different. The tribe leaves quietly. Suri whispers one last word to the stone. You don't hear it. You don't need to, because the forest heard, and that's enough. You finally light a fire again. It's small, modest, like someone trying to rebuild trust after a very awkward dinner party. The smoke rises hesitantly, curling in the cool air as if double-checking that no ancient forest spirit is going to pop out of the bushes and cancel your right to warmth. The tribe settled on a rocky hill, just above a shallow creek. It's exposed, which isn't ideal, but after the forest whisper fiasco, everyone's craving sky. Open space. Fewer trees that seem to breathe in sync with your nightmares. Tonight is for storytelling, not just the usual tales of brave hunters and meat that didn't run fast enough. Tonight is the real kind, the ones reserved for moments when your heart's too full, too bruised, or both. You sit close to the fire, legs crossed, the heat licking your knees. Ada is beside you, absent-mindedly peeling bark into curly strips. Her fingers move with muscle memory, but her eyes flick to the dark often, like she's not sure it's done with you. Across the flames, the children huddle near Then, who's been promoted to tonight's storyteller because Suri said, "We need something lighter before someone turns into a ghost." Reasonable. Then, of course, milks it. He leans forward, voice low and dramatic. There once was a boy who followed a bear into the sky. Oh, a pause. Gasps. A suspicious fart from the smallest child. The bear had stars in its fur. Then continues, and the boy wanted to know why. So he climbed after it. First, a tree, then a mountain, then a cloud. Another pause. He widens his eyes. And then he disappeared, then whispers, "But every time you see the stars move, that's him chasing the bear, still climbing." The kids stare at the sky. You do too. The stars are bright tonight, the kind of bright that makes your bones feel seen, like they're remembering something you've never been told. Suri breaks the spell. "That's not how the sky works," then rolls his eyes. "Let the story live, Suri." She smirks. "Fine. But he's probably chasing the bear, because he wants a second chance. Bears don't share secrets easily. That shifts the tone. Suddenly, everyone's quieter. The fire pops like it's clearing its throat. Then Ada speaks. "Do you think the forest let us go, or did it just forget about us?" You're not sure how to answer. You're not even sure you're qualified. Someone suggests it was a test. Someone else thinks it was a warning. Then votes for elaborate prank by rock spirits. But Suri just shrugs. The forest doesn't owe us answers. Silence again. Then the kids start telling their versions of stories. One insists they saw eyes in the fog, big, silver, blinking sideways. Another says the trees whispered his name and offered to teach him how to fly if he brought them a feather and a tooth. A third just insists the rocks were trying to eat his feet. That kid might need less mushroom exposure. And then you notice something. The firelight. It's dancing on everyone's faces like it knows you. You look around. Each flicker lights up stories carved in skin. Wrinkles from laughter, scars from battles, smudges of dirt that'll never wash off completely. Every person here carries the weight of before the forest, before the strangers, before Larrick fell and the world tilted. But they also carry light. Not just firelight. Story light. The kind that glows when someone remembers a moment the rest of the world forgot. Ada leans into you slightly. Not much. Just enough to say, "I'm still here." You don't lean back. You don't need to. Your presence is enough. The old woman Rika smiles faintly in her sleep. Her fever's gone. Her breathing is soft. Maybe the forest took something from her, or maybe it gave something back. You decide not to question it. Tonight, no one dies. That feels like a win. The tribe eventually settles into furs and hides. The children crash first, curled up like sleepy dogs. Then pretends he's staying up to watch for spirits, but you catch him snoring minutes later with a beetle crawling up his nose. You remain awake longer than usual. The fire is low now, burning in soft orange waves. Embers blink up at the stars like they're exchanging gossip. You hear something in the quiet. Not a voice, not a threat, just memory. Larrick laughing, the old man muttering about stones, the forest breathing. You think maybe that's what stories really are, not just entertainment, not even history. They're how we carry the ones we've lost, how we trick time into letting us keep a piece of them. You curl into your fur, legs pulled close, firelight warming your face. You don't dream about mammoths or blood or whispering trees. You dream of light, and the boy still chasing that star bear through the sky. You wake up warm, which is unusual considering that most mornings you peel yourself off a damp hide like a cold pancake off a sticky pan. But today, there's warmth, steady, subtle, human. You open one eye. It's Ada. She's asleep, curled next to you, one arm draped casually across your ribs like it belongs there. Her hair smells like wood smoke and pine. You panic. Just a little, because nobody talks about love in the tribe. Not really. They grunt, gesture, maybe share food, but the language of more than liking isn't quite invented yet. It's all glances, silences, and possibly interpreting someone handing you the bigger chunk of meat as a marriage proposal. Last night, you didn't say anything. Neither did she. But when the fire died low, and everyone drifted off, she just stayed, slid closer, rested her head on your shoulder like it was always meant to be there. And now, you don't Dari move. Partly because she's sleeping. Partly because you don't know what the protocol is when someone voluntarily shares body heat in a world where deodorant does not exist. Eventually, Ada stirs. She opens one eye, then the other, and sees you looking at her. She blinks slowly, then mutters, "You smell like fire and mammoth." You grin. "So do you." I croot. She snorts, sits up, stretches like a cat that hunted something very smug in its dreams. Then she walks off without another word. You blink. Okay then. Later, during morning prep, no one says anything but they notice. Of course they notice. Then raises an eyebrow. One of the forager girls smirks. Even Suri, who's busy retying the meat packs, gives you a knowing nod, which is both comforting and completely terrifying. This is now your life. Spears, stories, and subtle romantic entanglements without defined social rules. During the walk that day, you and Ada end up near each other, not by plan, not by force, just gravitating. You share a water skin. She doesn't say thanks. You don't expect her to. The way her fingers linger half a second longer than needed is enough. By midday, the group stops to rest near a grove of short elms. The weather's perfect in a deeply suspicious way. No wind, no rain, just golden sunlight filtered through pale green leaves. Bugs hum gently. Somewhere, a bird sings a tune that might be rude in bird language. The kids are napping. The hunters are sharpening things that are already sharp. The foragers are checking the mushroom stash for anything that giggles when touched. Ada pulls you aside. She doesn't ask, just walks, expecting you to follow. So you do. You cross a narrow stream and end up in a shaded alcove of boulders and moss. It smells like damp rock and secrets. She sits. You sit. Silence wraps around you both like a soft fur. Then she says, "My mother died giving birth to me." Okay, that's how we're starting. You nod quietly. She said nothing, obviously. But Suri told me she screamed like she wanted to come back as thunder. You look down at the dirt, tracing lines with your finger. "Everyone tells me I'm lucky to be alive," she continues. "But sometimes it feels like I borrowed someone's life. Like I owe the world something." You nod again. You don't have the words, because no one does. Not yet. Maybe in a few thousand years someone will invent a phrase like survivor's guilt. But for now, there's only eye contact and shared silences. Then Ada smirks. "You talk too much." You snort. "You're welcome." She leans in. A kiss? A touch? Nope. She punches you in the shoulder. Hard. Then stands. "Come on. You're helping me find more bark." You groan dramatically. "Is this a date?" She throws a stick at your head. "It is if you find the good bark." Back at camp, the sun dips low. Dinner is roasted roots, dried meat, and the kind of stew that probably started as a dare. Everyone eats. No one mentions the unspoken thing between you and Ada, but the tribe is watching, because in a world without jewelry, letters, or courtship dances, the tribe is the ceremony. Then finally speaks, eyes twinkling, just saying, "If you two share a sleeping mat again, I want the dry spot by the fire." Suri doesn't look up. The dry spot is for people who don't talk during meals. Then raises his hands in surrender, as the moon commands. Later, you and Ada sit under the stars. She doesn't say anything, neither do you, but your knees touch, and somehow, that's enough. This is how love starts before cities, before laws, before anyone has a word for belonging. It starts with bark, with glances, with someone quietly punching your shoulder and still letting you walk beside them. And even though no one carved your names into stone, you think the stars noticed. A scream wakes you, not the panicked. Someone's been stabbed kind. No, this one's sharp, urgent, new. It cuts through the morning haze like a cracked bone-splitting marrow. Half the tribe is up before their minds catch up with their feet. You scramble upright, already reaching for your spear, which you absolutely did not sleep on like a pillow again. You did, but the scream doesn't repeat. Instead, there's a low, rhythmic moaning. Not pain, not fear, labor. You freeze. Someone's giving birth. The pregnant girl Ema, barely more than 15 summers, is on her knees by the fire circle, gripping a bundle of fur so tight her knuckles have gone white. Her belly heaves like a storm in a skin tent. Sweat pours down her face. Her eyes are wild. Suri is already beside her, snapping into midwife mode with the same tone she used last week to tell Then to stop sticking berries up his nose. "Water," she commands. "Heat, and no one get in my light." Ada grabs a pot and heads toward the stream. You, wisely, take 3 steps back and try to look useful by staring intently at a tree. Then is peeking over a log, wide-eyed. One of the kids starts crying in confusion. The old woman, Rika, is somehow there too, propped up on a walking stick she didn't have yesterday, her face calm, like she's seen this scene so many times it's become a bedtime story. The moaning gets louder, then sharper, then a long guttural groan that makes everyone flinch. Birth, as it turns out, is not a subtle event. No one speaks. The fire crackles. The tribe hovers at a respectful distance, caught between awe and terror. Ema clutches Suri's arms like they're tree roots in a storm, and you swear for a moment she's trying to tear reality in half. Then silence. A beat. Then the first cry. High, thin, furious, alive. You realize you're holding your breath. You release it as Suri lifts a tiny, red, squirming human above the steam rising from the fire. A baby. The first new life since Larrick's death. You blink, and your chest goes tight, not in a bad way, just tight. Like someone folded a wool cloak over your ribs and whispered, "See? Still growing. Still going." The tribe exhales in one giant wave. Some smile. Some tear up. Even Then wipes his nose on his sleeve and pretends it's dust. Rika walks over and hums low and deep. An old song, older than words. She places a carved tooth beside the newborn. A charm. A promise. Maybe both. Ema holds her child. Eyes half closed. Head resting against Suri's shoulder. She looks like a mountain finally resting after the storm. Later, as the fire burns low and the baby sleeps in a fur pouch tied close to its mother's chest, the tribe sits in a loose circle. No celebration, not yet. Just the quiet gravity of knowing something huge has happened. Life reasserted itself. The wheel turned. The world, despite the chaos, keeps saying yes. You think of Larrick, of the grave covered in stones, of his laughter, now folded into the soil, and now this, a beginning. You catch Suri's eye. She sees what you're thinking. She nods once. Nothing more needed. Someone hums again, this time a lullaby. One of the younger girls, the one who always braids grass into tiny animals. The song is soft, circular, the kind that doesn't end so much as loop, like a spiral carved into a cave wall. And just as the tribe settles into that warm, teary stillness of exhausted joy, it happens again. Another scream, but not from Ema, from the edge of camp. You bolt upright, heart slamming. Rika is standing, staring at the woods. Something's wrong. Again, 2 scouts rush forward Suri and Ada. You follow, spear grip tight. The sun is barely up, but the light cuts through the trees in thin golden spears. You see the source of the scream. One of the hunters, a quiet man named Yal. He's kneeling in front of a body, dead. Another stranger. This one is different. His skin is pale, almost grey. He's thin, bones sharp against the skin like the forest didn't give him enough to eat. His eyes are still open, rolled up. His hands clutch something. A push. Suri kneels and opens it. Inside, ashes, bone fragments, charcoal, burned symbols, scratched onto wood. The scent is strange. Not rot, not smoke. Something between the two, like fire that prayed too hard. Then appears beside you and whispers, "A warning?" You shake your head. You don't know. Suri looks at the body, then at the forest, then at the rest of you. "He died running," she says. "Not toward. From." You look down. The man's feet are blistered raw. He ran far. He ran fast. and whatever chased him didn't need to catch him. You turn back towards camp and realize something terrifying. The baby's first cry wasn't the only new thing born today. Something else is stirring. Something that leaves ashes in pouches and fear in the bones of strangers. You clutch your spear tighter and walk back to the fire, because ready or not, the world just got bigger again. The man is buried at sundown. Not with ceremony, there's no time for that. Just a hole, some stones, and the silent agreement that no one will speak his name because no one knows it. Suri places the pouch of ashes atop the grave. A warning, maybe, or a tribute, or just because carrying it any longer made her feel like her ribs were splintering. The air is thick with questions. Not the fun kind, like, do we have enough roots to make weird stew again? But the heavy ones. Where did he come from? Why was he running? What burned him from the inside out? You try not to look at the ashes. You fail. They smell off. Not rot, not smoke. Something else. Like scorched bone mixed with wet stone and fear. You're almost certain the symbols etched into the wood shard moved when no one was looking. That night, no one sleeps. Even the children. Exhausted from the day's birth drama, lie awake, eyes open, watching the shadows flicker on the cave walls like they expect the dark to start whispering. It kind of does. Because of him, the stranger who arrives just before dawn. He walks into the camp like he's been here before, like he belongs. Not a threat, at least. Not obviously. His skin is dark and weathered, his beard flecked with ash. He's tall, wrapped in rough hide robes stitched with river stones and animal teeth, not as decoration, as memory. He stops near the fire, looks at the tribe, and says nothing. Suri approaches first. "Who are you?" she asks. He doesn't answer. Instead, he reaches into a pouch at his hip and pulls out a handful of dust. No, not dust. Crushed rock, shimmering in the morning light like ground stars. He tosses it gently into the fire. The flames turn blue. Everyone gasps. Ada grips your arm, hard. The old woman, Rika, stares at the fire like it's telling her secrets. Maybe it is. Then he speaks. Not in your language. Not fully. It's old. Fragmented. A mix of tongue and gesture, like someone talking in dreams and ancient headaches. But you get enough. He says the fire remembers. He says the stones remember too. And he? He listens to them. You glance at Suri. Her face is blank. The stranger walks slowly to the center of camp and kneels before the mammoth hide where Ema now sleeps with her baby. He doesn't touch her, just lays a small flat stone beside the child. It's been carved with a spiral so deep it almost breaks through. Then he turns back to the fire. The ash came from the east, he says suddenly. In your words this time. Not fluent, but understandable. Bad burning, he adds. You saw it? Suri asks. He nods once. Village? He nods again, but then tilts his head, considering. Place. Not village, not home. People. Gather. But not tribe. They build. Too long. Stay too long. Fire comes. A hush falls over everyone. Too long. Stay too long. That hits hard. You all know this. Somewhere deep in the marrow of your bones. Staying too long invites rot. Stillness brings ghosts. Movement is safety. But this? Fire as punishment? Or consequence? The stranger stands. They speak to stone. Make walls. Who? Someone asks. He touches his own forehead. People with forgetting sickness. They think ground is theirs. It is not. You shiver. He turns to leave, but Suri steps in front of him. What do you want from us? He looks at her, then looks at you, and smiles. It's not comforting. He places a rock into your palm. Small, smooth, heavy. When you look at it, it seems warmer than it should be. And for just a split second, you see something. Fire licking up wooden beams. Black smoke rising like a scream. People running with eyes that don't blink. Then it's gone. You drop the rock. The stranger nods, then walks away, into the morning mist, like he was never there. Silence follows him. The tribe is different now. Not just because of the baby, or the death, or the whispering trees, but because the stones just joined the conversation. You pick up the rock again. It feels heavier than before. You wrap it in hide and tuck it into your pack. That night, around the fire, no one tells stories. No jokes, no riddles, only memories. Suri speaks first. I remember when we stayed near the Red Hills too long, she says. The river turned bitter. The ground stopped giving. Then, quietly, we carved marks into the trees to find our way back. The trees bled. The marks disappeared. Arda. My father said fire is not a tool. It's a test. Then, you say, maybe the stones don't remember us. Maybe they remember what came before, and they're trying to warn us. The fire crackles, uncertain. Somewhere in the darkness, a wind stirs, and the rock in your pouch grows warmer still. The river is gone, not metaphorically, not dried up a bit or flowing strangely. Gone, like it packed its bags in the night and ghosted you. The bed is there broad and winding like a snake's fossil, but the water, absent, replaced with cracked mud, flaking scales of clay, and the desperate footprints of animals that came looking for relief and found only dust. You stand at the edge of it, barefoot, staring at the place where you filled your water pouch just yesterday. Now it smells like heat and regret. The tribe gathers slowly, blinking in the bright sun. Rika squints at the sky. Suri kneels to touch the parched ground. Even the children, usually quick to find a mud pit and ruin everyone's laundry system, which doesn't exist, just stare in quiet confusion. This isn't right, someone mutters. Suri runs her fingers through the cracks in the soil. No rain, no clouds, no river. Something shifted, then frowns. Shifted? Like the river just left? You nod toward the east. Maybe it did. Maybe it found a new path. Then sighs. I wish I could do that. No one laughs. This is serious. Water is everything. Drinking, cooking, cleaning wounds, soothing babies, pretending you didn't just pee in the wrong bush again without it. You're done. You can survive on roots, on meat, even on bitter mushrooms if you're brave or foolish. But without water? Not long. Suri calls a meeting. Not formal, there's no gavel or minutes. Just everyone sitting in a half circle while Rika glares at anyone who dares fidget. The land is shifting, Suri says. The forest is changing. The river's dried. The wind's moving differently. Then raises a hand. So, apocalypse? Suri blinks. Number. Not yet, but migration. Everyone nods slowly. It's like hearing something you already knew but didn't want to admit. The signs have been there. Stranger corpses, burning symbols, spirit men who talk to rocks. And now the land itself is blinking first. The problem is where to. Scouts are sent out. You volunteer, mostly to escape the tension, partly because Arda does, and mostly because you're the kind of person who doesn't like waiting for doom to arrive. You'd rather walk to meet it halfway and ask if it brought snacks. You head west. The landscape turns dry and cracked. Grass becomes brittle underfoot. Even the wind seems lazy. You pass a skeleton of something. Deer? Goat? Someone's really bad carving project. Picked clean by scavengers. Eye sockets staring skyward as if asking, was it supposed to end like this? The sun climbs higher, hotter, meaner. You keep walking. Hours pass. Your tongue sticks to the roof of your mouth. Your skin itches from dust. Arda keeps a slow, steady pace beside you, her mouth set in a line so tight it might be carved from stone. Then, just when you're starting to think this was all a cruel joke, you smell it. Not water, not kite, green, that sweet soft scent of moisture and things growing. Your legs speed up on instinct. You crest a hill, and there it is. A marsh, not big, not clean, but wet. And in this moment, it might as well be a sacred pool guarded by angels. You don't even wait. You race down, fall to your knees, and drink cupped hands, face splashing, like a child seeing snow for the first time. Then, Just when you're starting to think this was all a cruel joke, you smell it. Not water, not kite, green, that sweet soft scent of moisture and things growing. Your legs speed up on instinct. You crest a hill, and there it is. A marsh. Not big, not clean, but wet. And in this moment, it might as well be a sacred pool guarded by angels. You don't even wait. You race down, fall to your knees, and drink cupped hands, face splashing, like a child seeing snow for the first time. Ada laughs. Not a snort, not a sarcastic chuckle. A real laugh. You look at her, dripping and ridiculous, and grin. "We found it," she says. You nod. "We found something." You mark the place with stones and a carved stick, then return. The walk back is slower, not because of fatigue, but because every step feels heavier with meaning. You left looking for water. You came back with hope. The tribe listens carefully as you describe the marsh, the way the reeds moved, the insects buzzing, the sound of frogs. Suri closes her eyes. Rika sighs, nodding. The old stories spoke of frogs as messengers. Life follows them, or runs from something worse. That night, preparations begin. Packs are tied tighter, meat is dried, fires are smaller. There's no celebration, just movement. Quiet and deliberate, like animals that smell a storm and don't ask questions. Ada finds you near the edge of camp, sitting on your usual flat rock. "Still thinking about the dried river?" she asks. You nod. "It left," you say. "It just went somewhere else." She sits beside you. "Or we stayed too long." You glance at her. She shrugs. "Maybe the land doesn't like being kept company for more than a season." You look out at the stars, sharp and white in the sky. "How far do you think we'll have to go?" you ask. She leans her head on your shoulder. "Far enough," she says, "but not alone." And that's when you feel it. The rock in your pouch, the one the stranger gave you, is warm again. You pull it out, hold it up to the moonlight, and for a second, just a second, you see a flicker of flame inside it. But it's not destruction. It's direction, like a spark pointing you forward. You don't know where this path leads, but you're not afraid of walking it. Not anymore. It was perfect. That's what you all said. The place west of the marsh, tucked between two gentle ridges, shaded by nut trees, circled by reeds and hummingbugs. The marsh fed into a small stream, and birds actually sang without sounding like they were laughing at you. Even Rika, who could complain about sunlight being too sunny, nodded her approval. This was it, the place. The tribe's first whispered thought. Maybe we don't need to keep walking. You arrived with aching feet, sore backs, and just enough hope to be reckless. First, you built. Not houses exactly, but things. Shelters with stick walls and hide roofs. Flat stones placed just so. Paths worn into the earth from repetition instead of survival. A grinding rock appeared near the fire pit. Rika sat there every morning, muttering to herself while turning seeds into paste. Someone carved a notch into a tree to track days, then declared himself chief of structure, then promptly dropped a log on his own foot, twice, but it felt real. Settled, soft in the way a body feels after exhaling for the first time in years. Even Ada said it. "We could stay here," she whispered one evening, lying next to you as frogs sang from the stream. And that idea, it felt good. Too good, because then it started falling apart. First, the bugs. Not cute ones, not, "Oh look, nature," ones. Hordes, clouds of them, biting, buzzing, getting places where prehistoric bugs should not be allowed to go. Everyone itched, everyone scratched, someone sobbed. Rika suggested smearing mud, then smeared actual dung. That ended poorly. Then the weather changed. Rain came. Not gently, not poetically. Like the sky had been holding in its bladder all week and picked this spot to release vengeance. The stream swelled. The fire pit flooded. One of the new shelters collapsed mid-nap. Suri's expression darkened like the sky. You tried to hold out. Fix things. Adapt. That's what you're good at, right? Someone suggested moving slightly uphill. Someone else found mold growing on the meat stash. Someone else tripped and landed face first in a puddle so deep it might qualify as a lake in certain bureaucracies. Then the dream started. Not the good kind. Not even the weird mushroom kind. Heavy dreams. Of walls closing in. Fires burning bright and wrong. Teeth in the dark. The baby, who once slept through anything, started wailing every night at the same time. Rika finally said it. The land doesn't like us here. No one argued. By the end of the second week, the stream dried by half, then flooded again. Someone's feet started swelling with rot. The bugs kept biting, now joined by something worse, tiny worms in the mud, curling like question marks with very bad intentions. The tribe gathered at dusk. No one said, "We failed." That's not the language you use. No one even said leave. You didn't have to. People just started packing. The baskets were lighter this time, less meat, less pride, more understanding. You caught Ada watching the stream as you rolled up your sleeping hide. "You're disappointed," you said. She didn't deny it. "I wanted to believe," she whispered, "that we could make a place ours." You sat beside her. "We will, just not yet." She looked at you. "What if nowhere wants us to stay?" You thought of the rock in your pouch, still warm, still silent. "Maybe we're not meant to stay anywhere yet," you said. "Maybe we're still becoming the kind of people who can." She smiled. Not wide, just a twitch of understanding. And then, like the land wanted to prove your point, a giant splat of bird poop landed directly on Then's shoulder. You both stared. He looked up. "Why is the sky against me?" Ada burst out laughing. The first real laugh in days. That night, you left. No fire, no announcement. Just the quiet shuffling of feet in mud, heading north this time. The baby slept soundly. The bugs stayed behind. Even the frogs seemed to croak farewell. The camp emptied like a dream, ending before the best part. But no one looked back. Because if there's one thing you've learned, it's this. Staying too long changes you. Sometimes slowly, sometimes with teeth, sometimes with a damp worm crawling up your leg. You walked into the marshland thinking it was the end of your journey. But maybe it was the start of something else. The idea of a place that could be home. A whisper of walls. A memory of permanence. A test. You didn't pass. Not yet. But you're not done walking. Not even close. It begins with dust. Just a little, kicked up by your heels as you walk a new trail northward. But the wind carries it forward, upward, like it's drawing a line in the air. A trail not just through the land, but into it. You wonder, briefly, if the earth is keeping tabs on you by tracking where your skin cells end up. The tribe is quiet, not silent, but softer now. A kind of reflective hush has settled in, the kind of mood you get after a long joke finishes and nobody laughs, but everyone still feels better for having heard it. You pass a valley where the wind doesn't blow, a cliffside where the rocks look like sleeping animals, a grove of trees so perfectly spaced they could be mistaken for architecture if anyone knew what that meant yet. You keep walking, and then, one day not planned, not announced, you meet them. Another tribe. Not strangers this time, not enemies. People. It happens near a wide plain dotted with tall grass and low stone. You see their smoke first rising like a question mark above the ridge. The scouts report back. They're not armed, not aggressive. Just there. Suri gathers everyone. We go slowly. No spears raised. It feels like a test. You walk toward their camp. Closer. Closer. Hearts thumping like rabbit feet. Then, the moment. Two groups. Dozens of eyes. One fire. The other tribe has different cloaks. Different tools. One of their elders wears a necklace made of clay beads, smooth and patterned in spirals like the rock in your pouch. And then something happens that's hard to explain. They smile, and you smile back. No war, no challenge, just recognition. You both made it through the long night. You both lost people, buried the same kind of grief, hoped for the same kind of warmth. The fire grows. You sit beside one another. Trade gestures, shared dried meat. Someone tosses in wild roots. Someone else laughs at the wrong moment, and nobody minds. Then you hear a word, one of theirs. But you recognize the shape of it. Seed. You glance at Ada. She's already looking at you. It's not just food they've brought. It's ideas. They show you how they bury certain grasses, not just to forget them, but to grow them, to stay near them. They talk about circles of stone, about places where people return again and again, where the land is persuaded, not fought. It's not farming, not yet, but it's the ghost of it. The beginning. Suri watches quietly. Rika weeps, then tries to plant a rock. He's gently redirected. The two tribes camp together for days. You exchange more than food, techniques, symbols, songs. Even your walking song changes. It gets longer, fuller. Now it includes a verse about frogs, one about stars, and one that's just sounds low and rhythmic, meant for babies or gods. Same thing sometimes. And eventually, the idea sneaks into your bones. What if we don't keep walking? Not everywhere. Not forever. What if the land wants you to stay, if you treat it like a partner instead of a prize? You find yourself crouching in soft earth beside the elders of the other tribe, hands deep in soil, placing small grains they call first foods. You don't know what they'll become, but they feel like promises. You don't all agree, of course. Some want to move on. Others say staying means becoming slow, vulnerable, predictable. But a few look at the fire and the fields and the circle of shared laughter and see something else. The outline of a city. Not yet, but close. You stay a few weeks longer. Children from both tribes race around together like they've never been apart. Tools are swapped. A couple is joined not with chance or law, but with a shared blanket and the quiet blessing of the grandmothers. One evening, you walk out past the edge of camp. It's just you and Ada, standing in grass up to your knees. "Do you think this is it?" she asks. The stopping? You watch the fire behind you. The glow. The shadows of people who were once just survivors, and now are something more. "I don't know," you say. But it feels like the start of something that won't stop. She takes your hand. You squeeze gently. The stars above are the same as always, but they feel closer now, like they're not just watching, listening. Tomorrow, maybe you'll walk again, or maybe you'll dig another seed. Either way, you've tasted something new. Not just survival, but intention, and now you can't forget it. The fire burns lower now, not out, just softer. A slow, warm flicker that hums at the edge of your vision. The walking has quieted. The wind has curled up somewhere in the grass. Even the frogs are whispering instead of singing. The stars blink, lazy and kind, like they've been waiting for you to reach this part. Close your eyes for a moment. Feel the warmth still tucked in your chest, not the heat of fire, but of something else. People around you, a story behind you, a path ahead. You lived through the dry river and the strange dreams, the first birth and the first goodbye. You sat under trees that might have been gods. You walked across dust and mud and memory, and you learned that home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a rhythm, a look, a story passed between hands like water. Now, the earth is quieter. The darkness no longer hums with teeth, just breath. You roll over on your sleeping mat. Bones relaxed, the ache in your feet softened by time. Tomorrow, maybe you'll build, or walk, or watch. Whatever it is, you'll face it with others. That's all we ever needed, really. Others. A tribe. A spark. A story. Let it settle in you now. Heavy and light at the same time. Let the dark come closer. It's not the end. Just night. And you are safe in it. Your firelight and footprints. Your stories that learned how to breathe. You're boring, Sapien. And you've never been more alive. And the story ends. Let's go to sleep. Good night.